Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today, we're talking revenge. Oh, it still gives me such a giggle, and you guys are so great in the comments. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I had one of you say you're going to make that your ringtone, and that makes my heart so happy. That's hilarious. Okay. Today, we are getting into the dun-dun-dun bullying. She's bullying us with these horrible dresses. We get into the 2018 Australia trip, and it is a doozy. I remember hearing at the time, and again, I've read this book before, but I don't remember how bad it got. So we're going to dive into that. I'm excited. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for all the comments lately. I really enjoy reading them. You're cracking me up. I appreciate every one of you. Okay, we're not going to spend a lot of time. You know about my merch. Link is in the comments. Check it out. Thank you to all who have placed orders. I am going to interrupt myself for 2 seconds to tell you guys, you have to check out my Patreon. I know, we're all broke right now. I totally get it. $5 get you access to my whole catalog. It's like 81 videos. But listen, Jay and I got on there last night and recorded just this bonus stuff, and we got to laughing so hard because we figured out a way to bypass YouTube altogether, so that way we can speak freely and cuss like sailors and make fun of these two, and boy did we ever. So check that out. So much fun. I'm going to play a quick preview now.
Oh yeah, so he did have to ask for permission. May I give you the ring? Don't hit me.
Because I asked the ring.
I love how he's just like a confused cartoon old man. Like, seriously, like I don't care about her at all. I just, just go away. But make him keep saying stuff in public, please.
It would be a year and a half to a little bit more than that.
Do you see what I mean? Everything is vague because everything's a lie. The story will change 15 more times, and if they don't nail down detail.
About how it's felt to you.
We just kind of caught the sniffles. I guess he must be suffering from some allergies. He may be allergic to not having cocaine in his nose.
So that's just one video we recorded. We're going to record more. We had the best time because we just spoke freely and said exactly what's on our mind and could not stop laughing. So check that out. Patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. I totally get it. You don't, if you don't want to sign up monthly, don't do it. Just do a month, cancel. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do, but check out that. We're having a lot of fun over there. Okay, let's get into revenge. I have a lot of you reading along with me, and this series has become so much bigger than I planned, but I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying taking my time deep diving this stuff. We're on chapter 24, Tremors, which a lot of you reminded me is a Kevin Bacon movie from the 80s. But the plan remains to finish up this book and jump right into Cordia's next. We'll jump into the juicy parts. I'm very excited. And then hopefully Tom Barrow will get the rest of his book out soon. I'm excited for that. We got lots to do. All right, Tremors. The staff complaints were through the roof. So they were complaining and inflamed Meg's growing sense of victimhood. So again, think about this. So the staff is saying, hey, quit being a B word, and she spins it as, they're being mean to me. Can you imagine? It takes a special kind of villain to act like that. Then the word being markled hit the Urban Dictionary, which I find so funny because I've had a lot of you message me saying, have you seen this in the Urban Dictionary? Oh, yes, I have. So Meghan demanded that the palace staff view the world from her perspective. That kind of sums up a lot of things, right? That was a direct quote from the book. That's what we've seen. It seems to be, we should all see it from her point of view. I will say her adamant followers seem to take the same philosophy. Let's not do any research. Let's just go blindly and follow Meghan. Okay. So she's getting empowered at this point. She believes that her achievements are noteworthy, that her standing was paramount, but yeah, not so much. She was demanding retaliation against critics who dare write anything bad about her. I'm laughing, and you can hear the glee in my voice because I'm thinking, what the hell's going on now? She's got to be in her Montecito McMansion, like, pissed at the world because most people are talking about how awful these two are now. So glad the world finally sees. Tom Bauer writes, something that came up in the book is a direct quote that says she sincerely believed everyone had the right to create their own truth. What kind of nonsensical, it seems to be she did believe that, except for if it disagreed with her truth. And I'm thinking that seems to be the same mantra Harold Hank and Skank adopted when writing Spare. So I definitely see a theme there. So from here, it sounds like things were just getting worse. She and Harry decided they need a break, you guys. All that bullying is hard work. Being horrible to people is really hard work. So they decided to take a private jet to George Clooney's house at Lake Como. Must be nice. Okay, so the stuff with her father was escalating. He was continuing to give these interviews, and where she wasn't speaking to him at all, and we found out in the last episode that she had changed her number, he decided to spin it, of course, like everything else, as, oh, she's the victim in all this, you guys. She decided that it was best to write him, even though the Queen and Charles had urged her to go meet up with her father. She declined that and decided to write him a letter. This is where we get that infamous letter. And can we spend about 14 hours talking about how wild her handwriting is? I'm somebody with pretty neat handwriting, and I do like a nice flourish when I write. But if you're writing like this, I mean, come on, I'm saying the obvious here, but she obviously meant for this letter to get out. We know this. But even more like, look at my beautiful penmanship, and oh, it's so... I think what strikes me is it's so controlled and contrived, I think is the word I'm looking for. Now, she's gone on to dispute this and cited doing calligraphy work as the reason for this, but I'm going to tell you, I did calligraphy as well. Writing a passionate letter to somebody, it's not, well, first of all, I wouldn't write them a letter, I'd give them a phone call, but it just doesn't look this controlled. It was all contrived, including starting with the word daddy, meant to pull at the heartstrings. But she was writing this letter, and she sent a draft of the letter to Jason Knopf. She was working with him at the time, and she was sending drafts to him and telling him and everybody else these tales that it was her father that was cooperating with the media, and she was trying to get through to him. He wasn't listening. He wasn't picking up her phone call. So this was her last resort, is writing a letter. So interesting that her complaint of her father was she blamed his cooperation with the media for destroying the relationship. And I say, what did you guys do with Spare? They're doing the same things that they're accusing Thomas of. So it's interesting how they downplay Thomas as not very smart until they need him to be smart and be media savvy all of a sudden and have this relationship with the press. And he's destroying, saying that Thomas is destroying the relationship between him and Meghan and choosing the press and stuff. And again, I say, what did you do to the royal family? Sounds familiar, right? So she accused her dad of fabricating stories, manufacturing pain, seen that from you guys, being paranoid, hello, Harry, attacks, hello, Harry and Meghan, and lying, hello, Hank and Skank. That's all you guys know how to do. I had to write that sentence down because it just struck me over the head with, oh my God, this is exactly what they're doing. I mean, it makes you feel crazy, right? I know it's a definition of gaslighting, but I'm saying it makes you feel nuts because this is exactly what they're doing. They can't see that. They live in their own little world and everybody's mean to them. It's never the other way around. No wonder her dad and sister are chomping the bit to talk because they felt crazy this whole time and they were right about her. It's just wild. She didn't suggest a reconciliation at all. She signed it, I'm asking nothing other than peace, and I wish the same for you. She asked Knopf to proofread it, was still playing upon Knopf's sympathies. He's thinking that, her father's doing all these things and basically ghosting her around the time of her wedding and making it about himself, not realizing that, no, it's the other way around. So I'd love to get to talk to Jason Knopf. I wish those NDAs would be lifted. We're going to talk more about him with the bullying stuff, but I'm just saying, I bet that guy has some stories. So it seemed to further prove that she intended for this letter to be made public. She insisted that Knopf was proofreading it to help her combat whatever the public would be able to say about it, knowing, as we all know, that this letter would be public. Knopf liked her letter very much and was still feeling sympathy for her at this point. He suggested a few things that he would like to discuss with Samantha Cohen. Remember, that was his boss at the time. The lady that was sat between Meghan and the Queen in the background. You saw her a lot for a while. She was his superior. Well, Meghan didn't want that. Of course not. She wanted him to proofread it, but she didn't want other people to get a hold of it because her lies might be found out. She was feeding stories of herself, desperate to help him, that he stopped answering his phone and that she was desperate to talk to him. She had been calling and he would no longer pick up her call. Ugh, just awful. Again, interesting because it's literally what she was doing to him, but she spins it to have the victim narrative. Where have we heard this before? So she wrote this letter with the intention not to open the door for communication, but again, with the intention to leak it to the public, to play on people's sympathies, to win that victimhood once again. And I don't know. Tom Bauer didn't say this. I'm saying this. I feel like it's all pulling at the Diana stuff. Like, let's feel sorry for Meghan. And I know, I can read your comments in my head. I know a lot of people have strong opinions about Diana. It's fine. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, the public saw Diana's vulnerability. Meghan was trying to show some contrived version of vulnerability, and the public saw, as we did, right through it and continue to do, right? So it ended up being a 5-page handwritten letter. It was meant to pull at the heartstring with words like daddy, using terms like manipulation, and if he leaks this, it's on his conscience, Conscience. I never say that right. She spun it as if she had heard of the heart attack through the tabloids, and she's a concerned daughter looking out for her father. So it was very calculated, obviously. Again, that seems to be her whole personality, very calculated. She was trying to rile up Thomas while making the whole wide world feel sorry for her. She discusses the global interviews that he was being paid to do and had the balls. I know people laugh when I say had the balls because I don't know she had the tentacles to say that Thomas Markle was manufacturing a fictitious narrative. Ha, 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 ha. Isn't that what they've been doing this whole time, talking about Harry and Meg? Schmegan. Smegma. Oh my God. Smeggy. Thomas got the letter, and thought it was an olive branch, and obviously was devastated when he read the 5 pages of bullshit that she handed to him on a quote-unquote pretty written letter. And then get this. During this time, the Grenfell fire happened, and that is a devastating event. Terrible. But of course, Schmeg had to use the media, and Tom Bauer picks up on it being a very self-serving endeavor. The same time that this was going on, Harry decided to take it upon himself to have a talk with William and suggested that William be nicer to his wife. I'm talking like that because, I have to say it, Harry's eating crayons. What is he thinking? Again, I love me some William and I love me some Catherine, and all the restraint they showed during this, they need about 50 Buster Bluth army medals, right? Like the SEALs, because some stuffed seals, because they are incredible people. They held it together and they didn't backhand that little ginger bitch when he said that, because I probably would have. So tensions were escalating, and Dumb and Dumber, Harry and Meghan thought it would be a good idea to separate offices from the Cambridges. I bet William and Catherine were at home doing star jumps and high fives about that. Like, let's get rid of these assholes. That's great. Now we don't have to be tied to them anymore. So William talked about Meghan's behavior becoming increasingly more unacceptable, while Tom Bauer brings up during the first 5 months, she only did 26 engagements, and by engagements, he points out some of those were ascots and polo matches and theater and going to see the musical Hamilton. Those were engagements, you guys. Wow. They go into the amount of engagements that somebody like Princess Anne does and how often she does, they called it semi-anonymous charitable works. As a royal, I assume you can't be fully anonymous, but she's not doing it for the publicity of it all, is what they're pointing out. What strikes me, Harry seems to go point by point and argue with things in his book Spare. So he's clearly read Revenge, because he does address this and says basically that he builds up his and Meghan's work while putting down everybody else's, and says like it shouldn't be a competition for the most, whatever engagements attended. But I don't see Princess Anne out there bragging about the number of people she's helped and charities she's supported, etc. But here we are with Harold Fraud, and they will post that shit on Instagram, Okay, so back to that cookbook Meghan was working for. Tom Bauer says it was a gesture, not a landmark. William wondered if Meghan was plotting a return to America, and I say, William, you are brilliant. Meghan repeats her motto once again. Remember, we heard it before. It's not my job to coddle people. I just think of her stupid measured voice and archetypes and how it's very put on, like her handwriting. It's very, I'm turning into Countess Luann by accident, but you know what I mean? Like, it's very measured. It's very, nothing's real. There's no there. There's no uhs, it's all very annoying. It's the opposite of what you get with me, right? Lots of ums and uhs and make it make sense. Lots of yelling into my mic. Okay, so William brings up to Harry more claims about Meghan's bullying the staff. Harry is outraged because Harry has no idea what's going on. He's only let out of his cage occasionally, but he's outraged. And it was about this time that the accusations started to get in the public domain. Okay, let's get into this staff. So they mentioned this Katrina McKeeva. She had recently resigned. She was a member of Catherine's communications team, but she switched over to help Meghan and was like, no, can't deal with this crap. I'm out. Omid Scobie, aka Meghan's lapdog, decided to poke his whatever into this situation, his tentacles into this situation, and insisted that McKeeva left on good terms. Sure, Omid. Sure. Good boy. Of course, that was disputed by anybody in the know, which is not Omid Scobie. Melissa Tubati, she was, quote, traumatized by Meg's unreasonable behavior. Now, remember, I had talked about her before. She's the assistant who, when she couldn't meet Meg's exact demands, her unattainably precise demands, Meghan would fly off the handle. She was the one that dealt with the red blanket gate, right? She quit. She's like, I'm out. I can't deal with this crap. It was just one after the other. So Knopf says that everybody was fleeing, everybody was stressed out, and this is when he started his file, and I'm so glad he did. Remember, this is still going on now. Meghan was making people feel sick, shaking, and terrified. Now, I'll address it because, I tell the truth here. A lot of people have brought up, these are grown-ups. Why are they acting like this? I have the same question. I understand you can't tell your boss to fuck off, but here's my guess. Tom Bauer doesn't go into it, but I'm telling you. I've worked with horrible people, as I'm sure you have as well. Like to throw weight around, power around, I'm not sure. To try to make people feel small. And I'm just guessing here. These are professional people. We're working this job and not getting paid enough or who knows? I don't know. I'm just speculating here. Nobody could get paid enough to deal with this bullshit. And to see the behavior and to go from working with Catherine to working with this, again, I go back to Ursula, going to work for this Disney villain, Scar, gotta be a tough transition. And it's, oh God, what a nightmare. Meghan, like I said, made them feel sick, a lot of shaking going on. Remember, again, I swear Harry read this book and is trying to combat it in his book. In his book, he said people were crying at their desks. But he spun it as they were upset because there was a rift between himself, Harry, and William. And I said at the time, that makes zero sense. Your employees are not that invested in your brotherly relationship. That's not what it is. You guys are terrible people. Talking about Meghan and Harry, making them feel awful. This is what's happening. These are the results of that. So Meghan incorrectly assumed that her title allowed her to forget her manners. Suck on that, Maggie Poo. Those who refused to be sycophantic toward Meghan were deemed unacceptable. Here we are. How's that working out, Meg? Sitting in your Montecito house. How are all these reviews going? How's that feel? Normally I would feel bad for you, but I really don't. After reading all this and knowing everything we know, I really, truly don't. Terrible people getting what they deserve. Harry, when speaking to Knopf, gave a vague apology to try to keep the peace. He then begged Knopf not to make the complaints official. Don't have them officially processed. What I think that means, because they discuss it later in the book, is there is HR over at Clarence's house, Charles's residence. He didn't want that to go there. William continued to urge Harry to talk to Meghan about being a better human being. And I think, oh my God, what kind of example does Harry set? How is Harry able to urge anybody to be a better human being? He's a whiny, crybaby little bitch. Like, who's he gonna advise, right? But the damage at this point to the staff was done. Meghan's narrative became William's staff was undermining her. See, nothing's ever their fault. It's that whole thing. They're never gonna learn because nothing's ever their fault. Must be nice to be so perfect, right? I used Joey's quotation marks on that. So they decided they needed to break from the Cambridges. Of course they did. So they report after report of unacceptable behavior was coming out to Knopf. The staff at this point deemed themselves the Sussex Survivor Club. I've definitely heard that. So Bauer explains here how Meghan repeatedly used her power deliberately to hurt people. And I'd say that sounds pretty accurate. We've heard that a lot. Harry and Meghan were about to leave for a tour of Australia. Ooh, we're going to get into this tour. I'm excited. Terrible fashions ahead, terrible treatment stories ahead, and Meghan gets to be a real petty bitch at this place. I'd forgotten about this. We're going to get into it. Okay. So Harry and his tiny Todger decided to beg Knopf, please wait on the bowling stuff. We're about to go on vacation. Or no, I guess it's a working, whatever. We're about to go to Australia. Meghan thinks it's a vacation. We're about to go to Australia. I wish Jay was here to do the Prince Harry.
Oh no, please don't tell Daddy. I want to go on my trip, and if this gets reported, Meghan will be angry, and she may hit me.
At least he didn't talk about his Todger that time, right? And his mom's face cream. So Harry later denied that he discussed any of this with Knopf or that he had interfered. Of course he denied it. Who's it going to benefit? Does it benefit Knopf to lie about this? No, it doesn't. It benefits Harry and Schmeg to lie about this. So who do I believe? Tough decision. P.S. Why does Harry always look so pissed and she always looks like she was caught in a rainstorm before any event? Why is her hair always like this? It's either like this or pulled really tight and severe. Tom Bauer brings up it was at this point that they went to Eugenie's wedding and revealed their pregnancy. You know my problem with this. I've made it clear. I think that sucks and it's rude and you don't do that. I mean, they're trying to steal her thunder. Now, we had come up with the theory, and I think it's a very credible one, and I still believe it, that it was Meghan being a petty bitch because she didn't get the tiara she wanted, so she was going to throw a tantrum and get attention away from Eugenie any way she could. Tom Bauer kind of throws it out here, and again, I say it every time, it's what he doesn't say that's beautiful about this book, and the way I am interpreting it is it may have also been a quote-unquote good time for them to throw out this reveal to try to distract from what was actually going on back at, the palace with their staff. Okay, so they go on this tour of Australia. At first, things seem to be going well. The press is doing well with them. They're putting on the show, and they do an Invictus Games and The couple was being loudly praised, and even Schmegma baked some banana bread. I just want to make a yeast joke there. Just insert what you will. But so she'd baked this banana bread, so they thought they could do no wrong. During this engagement, this tour, Meghan had a staff of 4 women with her. You can imagine how well this went down. She announced to all of them that she needed people she trusted and decided to invite Jessica and Ben Mulroney out, decided to fly them out to provide, quote, round-the-clock support. So she was boosted by Mulroney being there. Again, I can't stand that woman's face. Somebody had me laughing so hard in the comments that they seem to have gone to the same plastic surgeon. But again, I think it's funny knowing that Schmegma ends up ghosting her as well. There are many reports that Meghan was being abrasive with her staff. Again, the 4 women that were with her. And this is when the alleged throwing tea incident happened. I wish I had more information. Come on, Cordius, help me out. Tom Bower did not go into this. He just he just said that there was an alleged tea throwing incident and said that it was thrown into the air, but literally no other details were given. Help me out. What do you know? Tell me everything in the comments. What happened? How can I get video of this? I'm going to need to see it. I want to throw some tea at her. Okay, so every night, Harry would apparently search for snide comments on the internet. Again, I find this hilarious because, oh boy, do I have some memes to show you, Harry. Oh, God, just watch one of my TikToks. That'll give you some laughs. Inflamed by the slightest criticism, they would battle for retribution. I don't even know what that means. I just got that from the book. I would love to know what these 2 pea-brains thought they could do in retaliation for people speaking the truth. But any criticism it just wouldn't sit well with them. And I hope that continues on because you're in for a lot of sleepless nights. Meghan wore all these ridiculous outfits. To me, they're some of the ugliest in the bunch. And that's saying something because she wears some ugly stuff. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch yesterday's video. I'm pretty proud of that. Terrible outfits. I'm trying to keep the photos interesting. There's only so many photos because they only did like 70-something engagements. So I have to pull from those. And yoink. So Harry at this point starts snapping at the media. He was working with reporters. Again, this is a royal tour. He's snapping at the media. So Harry also continues to compare Meghan and Diana. I'm choking on just that whole idea. She wore Diana's earrings to an event there. And Tom Bower so succinctly points out Harry didn't understand that his mother didn't collect a court of followers. Diana's strength was in her vulnerability. The Sussexes were convinced that she, I guess, had some of Diana's stardust. Again, Harry read this book because he directly says that in his book. Diana wasn't seeking money or fame. It came to her naturally. That is a quote by Tom Bower. So, yeah, I wouldn't say that's the case with Schmegma. Meghan wanted to earn millions. She was coming up with these plans during this tour. She was trying to figure out, how she can do this. It was during this tour that they also started to convince themselves, Harry and Meghan, that William was jealous of them. Can you imagine? Okay, here's my theory on this. Harry's so dumb. He's dumb as a box of rocks. Schmegma knows this. So Skank is trying to convince Hank, ooh, your brother's jealous of you because she wants to create that divide. And I'm not saying Harry's innocent at all. I'm just saying he's so painfully stupid. He has no idea what's going on. And I don't know. This comes to mind. I was thinking Schmegma saying, Harry, your brother's always been jealous of you. And I gave Harry an Al Bundy voice. Oh, sure, Meg. And he's falling for a hook, line, and sinker. And it's working. And there's a divide. Imagine that. So it was during this time that they came up with Sussex Royal. They sure like to use that. They sure don't want to give up their titles, do they? I find that so funny. They want to distance themselves from everything. They want to throw every name of the book at the royal family, but they sure don't want to give up those titles. They also wanted to replace Jason Knopf. Of course they did. They think just getting a new person in, then that person would have no no idea what they've been putting the staff through. So apparently during this time, Meghan was in talks with her California team about reestablishing her place in California. It was that day during the Australian tour that, the Arch Foundation was registered. Dun, dun, dun. Obviously, we all knew that this was way planned out, but I didn't realize it was during this tour that they registered every variation of Arch Foundation. So they went to Fiji from here, and this is where shit got crazy. Got crazier than this outfit. She gave this speech about how financial aid programs and scholarship and her working were the way that she paid for college, knowing that word would get back to Thomas. So she's definitely poking him in the eye. Thomas speaks up and says, "No, I paid every penny of her education. I even continued to pay on the loans when she was earning big money on suits." So he was furious at claims that she sent him money. Now, Tom Bauer gets interesting here because he explains that it does appear that Thomas paid for her student loans. Thomas does not talk about, apparently Meghan did send him $20,000 at one point. That's neither here nor there to me in terms of she still shouldn't have cut him off. It's an awful situation. I'm not standing up for Meghan. Meghan sucks. We know this. Okay. Meghan went to this. So she went to give this speech, right? After that, she was scheduled to go to a Fiji market. These people had come out and they were very happy to see her. They had lined up. They were waiting to see her. They were excited. She only stayed for, I believe it was 8 minutes at this place. What happened? Well, I'll tell you because it's juicy. Think back with me. Remember I was telling you about the UN women thing and how when they refused to give her some sort of promotion, she's like, "That's it. I'm out of here." Cartman, "Screw you guys. I'm going home." So she's like, "I'm out of here. I'm throwing a fit." So guess what? At this Fiji market, it turns out it was sponsored by UN Women. There were all these women there wearing the shirts identifying as UN Women. When Meghan saw that, she's like, "Oh, no, 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 no. I'm going to ruin this event. Can't have the attention off me. Even though it's an event for me. Got to be petty." So what does she do? She berates her staff, forces them to get her out of there, tells the palace that it was because of heat and crowds that she only stayed 8 minutes at this scheduled stop. But it sounds like she acted like a real asshole. This was interesting. Tom Bauer points out by the time that they got back to their hotel after this event, the female protection officer that had been working with her decided to resign. She decided she'd make it back to Britain, but when they get back to Britain, she's out. Sounds familiar again. A lot of staff doing that. I wonder why. I'm sure it's a great job that's really happy. That's why everybody wants to leave it. So staff's unhappiness was being translated back to Knopf, back at the Home Office. He'd been working on, I guess, a memo, whatever, based on that file. He sent it on to William's private secretary. The guy's last name was Case. He'd been working with the brothers for a long time. Meghan had bullied two and shattered the confidence of the third, and the fourth one was the protection officer who decided to resign. So imagine that. They all decided they couldn't handle her anymore. Sounds like she was a peach. That Case guy went ahead and sent it on to the head of HR over at Clarence House. Now, whoever this person is, Samantha, apparently she helped bury it. And this part sucks because, I love the royal family, but I do feel like they could have handled this better. I wish they'd let them out of their non-disclosures. I just want to know, is Samantha, she had to admit, was she in the pocket of Harry, I guess, or Schmegma? I don't know. Maybe it was an oversight. Who knows? But it got buried, and that sucks. Nothing was done at that point. Harry says, so because Harry sees the opportunity, since nothing was done, he jumped on that and gave it a spin and says, no, they left because of their own misconduct. Again, I ask you, who would benefit from that? Them? The 4 people leaving? Are they all like, yay, let's, we all got promotions, let's be out of here? Or is it Harry and Meghan that would benefit from that lie? I wonder. Obviously, Harry and Meghan. You know what I'm doing. Play the game with me. Guys, I'm going to leave it here because we're about to get into some questionable jewelry from Meghan. Some tricky diamonds she wore to the next event. And so I'm going to leave it here. I thank you all for being with me and all your lovely comments. You're wonderful. I love you all so much. I really appreciate you all. I'm telling you, if you have a few minutes and a few bucks, check out Patreon and just go straight to the the recording session Jay and I did last night. You'll find it on there. It's 20 minutes long. We could not stop laughing. You'll see why we get crazy in that thing. And we're going to record more hopefully tonight. So check back. That's not even that's bonus material in the Patreon. With the Patreon, you get episodes of Sex and the City. I deep dive that series. So you'll hear, if you're into that show, you'll hear all the episodes I'm working through. So check that out. Thank you so much for being here. All the love and support. I appreciate you guys. Don't be an Ursula. Please. I know you're not. If you're here and you're watching, if you're still watching, you're definitely not an Ursula. Oh, I just want to cut her tentacles off. All right. Have a good day. Bye-bye.